In this video, I'm going to tell you guys how I was using my drone improperly a few days ago, and how you should never do what I was doing in this video. So it's been a while since I've uploaded a video on my DJI Mavic Air 2, and I actually wasn't planning on uploading one on it this week. But just a few days ago, I decided to go out and fly the Mavic Air 2, and I'll overlay the footage as I'm talking here. And just to kind of set the scene a little bit, I live up in the hills. It gets kind of windy where I live. And the other day during my sister's lunch break, my sister and I drove over to the city, like right next to ours, to this one spot where I wanted to fly the drone. And this city is known to sometimes be a little bit windier than the city that I live in. Even although it's not very far from where I live, it does get a little bit windier, and I think it might just have to do with like the topography of the area, and it might actually even be at a slightly higher altitude. So I did realize that it was a bit windy this day, but at the same time, I think I'm kind of desensitized to the wind a little bit, because a lot of the time it will get much windier where I live. So this particular day didn't really feel like it was super windy. And it wasn't actually until I got home a little while later and I checked the weather and realized that we were experiencing winds of 26 miles per hour. Another thing I wanted to mention is that I did not charge the battery before taking off, so when I took off, the battery was already at around 45%. But I wasn't really planning on flying very long, so I didn't really care. And I wish I did some screen recordings of my phone so you could see exactly what was going on the DJI Fly app. But like I was saying, I wasn't even planning on making a video out of this footage. And I know that in this footage, it's hard to tell that it's even windy because there's like no tall trees nearby where you can see the branches moving and stuff, but it was actually quite windy. But I gotta say guys, for the most part, the DJI Mavic Air 2 did a great job of keeping that camera steady. The gimbal on that thing really does a great job. And I just want to kind of point this out to you guys as the drone's flying over this area. If you look down, there is that trail, and you can kind of see that there's like a good amount of distance between that trail and the houses on the right hand side. But as we get a little further up to where those houses are on the left hand side of that ridge, the neighborhood kind of creeps a little closer to the mountain. And it was at around this point where I kind of started running into problems. The first thing that happened is that the DJI Fly app gave me a warning of a weak connection. So I thought to myself, oh, I better fly it back because I definitely don't want to lose connection with my drone and lose it. So I decided to turn the drone around and try to fly back. And as soon as I started trying to do this, I started getting other warnings on the app. I was getting some sort of severe winds warning, and the app also warned me that the return to home function was not an option at this point. The app was also telling me to lower the altitude because of the strong winds, but at this point my goal was to get the drone back to where I was. At this point, I was trying to fly the drone back to where I was, but the wind was pushing me in the opposite direction. At this point right here, it looks like we're almost staying still because the wind was preventing the drone from moving in the direction that I wanted it to go. Even right here, I was trying to move in the direction of the cliff where we started from, yet we were being pushed off to the left. Around this point, I lowered the altitude a little bit, and I was able to somewhat regain some control and move kind of in the direction that I wanted it to go. At this point, I had more or less regained control of the drone, and I was pretty much able to get it to go in the direction that I wanted, although it was just kind of flying a little slow. And also by this point, we were at something around 25% battery. So the battery had like dropped quite a bit. And as you can see right here, some of the trees, you can see they're swaying in the wind. And I believe the reason that I was able to gain control of the drone again is just because the wind had died down slightly and I was able to make it come back. But I was in a slight panic because if the wind would have kept pushing the drone, it would have like ended up somewhere lost in that neighborhood and I would have had to go down there and drive around to try to find it. So luckily that didn't happen. So after this entire escapade, I decided to pull up the user manual and see what it says about flying the Mavic Air 2 in wind. And sure enough, guys, the manual says do not use the aircraft in severe weather conditions. These include wind speeds exceeding 10 meters per second. So I went ahead and checked out what 10 meters per second is in miles per hour, and it is 22 miles per hour. And apparently I was flying the drone in 26 mile per hour winds. So I definitely should not have been doing that. The manual also says land the aircraft in a safe location when there is a low battery or high wind warning. And I kind of had both of those things going on at the time. So I think a pretty good rule of thumb is to just not fly the Mavic Air 2 when it's windy. I mean, it can handle a little bit of wind, but in my opinion, it's not really worth risking it. I mean, luckily I did get the drone back. It didn't end up on the roof of like a house or something. So I guess I'm pretty happy, but during that minute or two when I was unable to get the drone to come back to me, it was a little nerve-wracking. So in my 1.5 years of owning the DJI Mavic Air 2, through error, I've learned 3 important lessons that will hopefully prevent you from making some of the same mistakes that I've made. 1, make sure to unfold your propellers fully before taking off. 2, after you take off, it wouldn't hurt to just move the camera around just to make sure that the gimbal isn't stuck before you fly the drone far away from you. And 3, don't fly the Mavic Air 2 in the wind. And by the way, guys, I saw that DJI now has the DJI Mavic 3. It looks like the DJI Mavic 3 Fly More combo is going for $3,000. Pretty pricey. It looks pretty crazy. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments below. And I would love to know, if you own a drone, have you ever tried flying it in the wind? Let me know down in the comments below. I would not recommend it, but if you happen to make the mistake like I did, I would be interested in knowing in the comments below. And I will have links to the DJI Mavic Air 2 down in the description below as well, in case you want to check that out. I'll have the Amazon link and also the link to the DJI site. And if you did like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you went down there and gave this video a like. That would help me out so much. And if you would like to see more videos by me in the future, make sure to go down there and hit that subscribe button and also that bell notifications button. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, I'll go ahead and put my handle right here. It's at YT_Tobias. And I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Peace.